Hello, hello. Welcome back to week 7 of Misfit Educator 101 here on Find Your Grind Live. We're here on Twitch tonight, as always, every Wednesday with our Misfit Educators. And tonight we've got a special crew here. We call them our power users. Our power users of Flipgrid. And we are super stoked to have them because we're going to do all the flipping tonight. We talk a lot about flipping the funnel, right, Mike?
Yes.
Flipping the funnel here at Find Your Grind. For those of you who are new to Find Your Grind or new to Find Your Grind Live, I'm actually going to pass the mic to Mike and have him share a little bit about flipping the funnel.
Yeah, so I think flipping the funnel to Find Your Grind, not I think, I know what flipping the funnel is. The old kind of philosophy that we used to, everybody on this call went through was when you were a kid, they told you to pick a job. And then after you pick a job, you try to go to college to get really good at the idea you had in high school. You hope that process landed you in the place that you would go work and enjoy your life for the rest of your life. But most of us, that path didn't work out. And so Find Your Grind, we talk about flipping the funnel and having that same conversation, just in the other order, starting with lifestyle first and asking those questions about what's the lifestyle I want to lead, letting that inform the decisions on what strengths do I have, and let that ultimately decide what direction you take your opportunities. And so start with lifestyle, don't start with job. Focus on, just the life you want to lead, the strengths you've got, and recognize your career is a part of it, but it's not all of it. And I think for us, flipping the funnel is just taking that holistic approach towards let the life you live guide the work you do. Isn't that's it?
That's it. That's it.
Discover. A catchy phrase. So
Yeah.
It always ends up a tattoo somewhere.
It's all good. So we've got self-discovery and career exploration, and it's all rooted in how you want to live and work and bringing those two things together. So in the spirit of self-discovery and in the spirit of like really exploring and digging deep, we like to look at a lot of different tools that we can use to help our students, help our learners do that. And the really special thing about tonight, like I mentioned, is about Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a technology that enables a lot of this self-reflection, a lot of other things, but I'm not going to be the only one to tell you about that because we've got our powerhouse users here. So we're going to do some quick introductions. Why don't we kick it off with you, Ashley?
I am Ashley, a school librarian here in Arkansas, as well as an adjunct instructor for the University of Central Arkansas. And I've been using Flipgrid for probably as long as they have been around. And I super enjoy using it because of the aspect of providing a space for my students to share their voice. And I think that's super important in our education right now.
Awesome. You may notice I have image here of sharing your voice. I thought that was very timely. So yes, thank you so much for joining us, Ashley. You are a super user or power user of Flipgrid. You are an educator. You also mentioned that you're an adjunct faculty at the university. And can you tell us a little bit about what you are teaching at the university again?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty timely as well. So in Arkansas, we have a new certification for online teaching. And right now, our university, the University of Central Arkansas, is the only one in the state that offers the certification course for that. And I am teaching in the courses I teach are technology leadership and planning, online course design, and then online teaching and learning. So a lot of technology tools and how to keep your students engaged online, how to package your lessons. And many teachers are familiar with using kind of a pseudo learning management system like Google Classroom. And that's just one assignment posted at a time. So really looking at how to best package and put everything together in a spot for your students to be able to navigate that independently.
For those of you who were listening closely, please note that was a pseudo learning management system, right? And this is important. We might talk about this fully in a little bit, but this drives home the point that there are so many different tools and technologies that we use and sometimes modify for different purposes. And right now, under the duress of quickly get everything together for your students online, a lot of folks are using Google Classroom as a premier learning management system, but that's not exactly how it was designed, right? So we do this with a lot of technologies, right? Well, you're a girl after my own heart with all the online learning design as a learning designer. Super stoked to have you and learn more about this. Let's quickly introduce Rochelle. Rochelle, you are a resident Misfit educator joining us tonight. A little more about your background.
Yeah, so I'm Rochelle Nepos. I'm a Spanish and STEAM teacher, also consultant, author, blogger, user of Flipgrid for probably as long as Ashley from, I don't know, it's been a couple of years, and so enjoy using it with my students. Really interested in the conversation tonight, especially about getting our students to share their voice, their experiences, and all of the learning potential that they have using tools like this.
Awesome, awesome. And those of you who've joined us previously or who are familiar with Find Your Grind may recognize the man, the myth, the legend. Mike, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, y'all. No, yeah, Mike, one of the co-founders of Find Your Grind. New to Flipgrid, but I would like to think of myself as like, I went to school on like night classes with Flipgrid. Like I went like the school of life and did some guerrilla rogue stuff with Flipgrid and came at it from a completely different angle and have never once used it in a classroom setting. And so tonight's going to be fun because Flipgrid for me is a whole different source of engagement and resource that's really cool, and I dig it a lot. So tonight's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to dive deep into the Flip land, and so it's going to be fun.
I love it. I love it so much. So we actually every week have been trying to practice our own type of engagement, right? If you all recall, and for those of you that are joining us new, we kicked off this Find Your Grind Live really as a community practice to bring together educators, parents, educator advocates, parent advocates, so that we could have a community and really discuss everything teaching, learning, social emotional learning, self-discovery, and most importantly, how we could support our young people during this critical time. And through that, also supporting our educators. So that was really the impetus behind our Find Your Grind Live experience. And through this and our community, we've really tried to practice some of the things that we know best about online teaching and learning. One of those is an engagement tactic. And so out there on Twitter, in the Twitterverse, we actually posted a poll. Typically, we've been kind of reviewing the statistics of these polls later in the show, but we wanted to bring it up now because the questions are really timely for our conversation tonight. So those of you can follow us on Twitter or go check it out. You can also find right here on Twitch, on your right-hand side, I believe, there's a reenactment of that poll, and you can check it out there. But the question is, what do you miss the most about engaging with your students? And the three options, their voices, giving immediate feedback, and or organic magic moments. And our poll shows that with 62 votes, which I think is pretty impressive given the circumstances, organic magic moments wins at 64.5%. Next, number two is their voices at 24%, and then immediate feedback at 11%. And I should let you all know that there's actually a comment for an option that we missed, which was seeing the light bulb go off. And I want to share that with you all because that's really going to shape the way that we have our conversation tonight. Each one of these different features is something that we all have discussed in the use of Flipgrid, and it should also be noted that I'm the #1 misfit tonight, not only with my Find Your Grind t-shirt, but because I'm not an active Flipgrid user. So I'm truly going to be interviewing each of you about your experience with this. So those ratings, #1 with magic moments, #2 with their voices, and #3 with immediate feedback. Why don't we start with you, Ashley, and tell us, #1, what got you interested in using Flipgrid, and then tell us a little bit about some magic moments that happen.
Yeah, so as a school librarian, I'm always looking for the newest technology and really considering the ways that I can use that in the classroom and how it will benefit my students. Always look at, is this best for students? There's a lot of great technology out there, but using technology for technology's sake is not something that I tend to bring into my practice. We began to use Flipgrid because as a school librarian in an elementary school, I saw all of the students. We're talking about 600 students a week. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to hear all of the students. And the ones that spent a lot of time in the library, I became very familiar with. But students that I only saw when their class visited for checkout, I felt like I was missing a connection. So I began to use Flipgrid just as a way to kind of ask a question. We wanted to be able to share, and I believe we started with School Library Month, and compile how all of the students saw the school library. Plus, that gave me personal feedback on things that I could improve or change. So we began with that and just had a couple of iPads set up around the library where students could record their voice. And I also allow students to, on occasion, use my phone if they have a question about an author. I just here's my Twitter account, tweet to the author, see what you get. So having that available on my phone was another device that we could use. They were able to all share their voice. We were able to hear every student's opinion of the library, what they liked, what they didn't like, and then use those videos to create an atmosphere for the students. And that really kind of made an impact on the connections that we had with the students in the library. We were able to go back and say, well, this group of students is saying they're looking for these materials that we don't have, or this group of students really likes this particular aspect of the library. Let's build upon that. And I really found it helpful in that aspect. And of course, since then, Flipgrid has grown by leaps and bounds and now has so many new features. When I first started using it, it was basically just a recording tool. And again, it was free, and in education, if it's for free, it's for me. So I was able to use that and bring that into our library. I began to post questions as students said that they liked to do that, just for fun questions. So we did Flipgrid Friday, where it was a lot of kind of personality questions. Would you rather have pizza or tacos? And just letting students have that kind of choice and sharing what they really like. And as teachers began to see that, they started working it into their classroom for some of the skills that they needed to build with their students that were just basic speaking skills. And we have a high ESL population, so it really helped those students to be able to not only see themselves, but hear themselves and listen to their classmates and to build those skills on their speaking too.
That's really powerful. As a former ESL teacher, my heart really is with the misfit students who don't feel like they belong. They have a really hard time communicating often. There is a very typical language development sort of filter, right? Like they don't want to respond immediately. They want to process a little bit more. And so it sounds like Flipgrid is a really good tool, for those purposes. You can really let students find their voice. But they also have these sort of organic magic moments that they would otherwise miss out on, right? Because they wouldn't be the first ones to engage or participate, right? So I love those examples and what you're sharing there. Can you tell us, you also use this with your adult learners, right?
Yes, I do. So at the university level, I teach in a master's level program. So all of the students I have are already educators. And even in an online learning environment, you still need to have a space for students to have a discussion that typically would take place in class, where you can ask a question and get feedback from students and kind of challenge each other. And in an online platform, that typically happens in a discussion board. But how many times do you see in a discussion board where someone posts this eloquent post and cites their resources and gives a great answer, and then the responses are, I totally agree with you. I really like what you said. It doesn't really provide that conversation piece. So I was looking for a way to engage the students in an actual conversation, and went to Flipgrid. And at first I heard, oh my God, I hate you for doing this. I use this with my students, but I don't want to see myself on camera. I don't want to hear my voice. And can we just go back to the discussion board? And I kind of kept at it, and I did videos along with them. So it wasn't just the students. I wanted them to see that I'm showing my face too, guys. So we did that. And by the end of the semester, that was one of the things that students commented on that they enjoyed about the class, was the conversation that took place on Flipgrid, because you could see as they began forming their answer and their response that they were processing and thinking. and you could kind of see their thinking morph and change, and then figure out the answer to a problem that they had, and really work within themselves. And then we also were seeing students responding to each other going, hey, you mentioned XYZ. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Can you share it in the forum on our classroom so we can have the link to that tool that you talked about? So it really kind of added an element to the class, especially since it was online teaching. They were able to kind of share some of the things that they were doing as well.
I was raising my hand a minute ago because I am a Google processor, so I actually get a lot more out of a conversation. And B, I know Mike is smiling right now because in the workspace now, especially with chats, if you're not on it that minute and you miss that magic moment of your contribution, you kind of have to catch up and see what everybody else said, right? And so it really is a different medium for then engaging and getting, engagement, right? So very cool. Thank you. Rochelle, you are also a power user of Flipgrid, right? Can you share some experiences? What's going on in your classrooms and why do you use it?
Yeah, teaching Spanish, a lot of the things that I wanted my students to do for years was stand in front of the class, do a presentation, talk, have conversations with their peers. And they would often say, like, can't we just do this, just me and you have a conversation, or can't we just write it down? And I didn't understand that because I thought, you're just standing in front of your classmates. And then I realized that I myself didn't like to stand in front of my own colleagues and present the professional development things in our school. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm asking them to do things that I wouldn't necessarily want to do myself. And that self-confidence and that comfortable feeling that they have really wasn't there. And so I did find Flipgrid, a couple of years ago, like I had mentioned, and put it out to my students. And similar to like Ashley, some of the kids were like, why do we have to do this? But what I set up first was for them to just give me, one was a reflection on what they wanted to do for project-based learning. I wanted a space where whenever they were thinking of an idea, to have somewhere where they could record it, go back, listen to it, that I could give them feedback along the way as well. So that was a big piece. But then some of the students really had unique ideas how to use some of these tools that I find. And one student was so afraid that she was going to forget like all of her thoughts along the way as she was building her PBL presentation. So she started to just record her own reflections and then shared those and played parts of them in the class, just like her, over that period of 2 or 3 months. We also did some connecting with students in Argentina and Spain through Flipgrid, which was awesome because as a Spanish teacher, being able to tell them all about all these places that they're studying is one thing, but for them to actually be able to see other students, hear the pronunciation, see the clothing, see what their school looks like, and to do that so quickly really made a huge difference. And so hearing the students come back and say, you know what, I feel more comfortable speaking because I had a chance to practice in that space. I could re-record it if I needed to. You could give me the feedback. And then also being able to build that comfort with their classmates, because I don't always let them see each other's videos because initially I want them to feel comfortable, but then building up to that point, you see those relationships form. So it's like this whole big thing that like you might set out just for them a speaking assessment, but there are all these other components that start to kind of come in and they're building all these other skills, which is one of the reasons like when you can find a tool or a couple tools that do that and build so much more than just like one thing, that's when it's awesome. And so that's really why I like using Flipgrid for sure.
So we've talked about self-reflection. We've talked about communication and public speaking, preparation. We've talked about articulation and pronunciation, in language learning, which is also a public speaking skill. And so these are like really specific use cases for Flipgrid and these magic moments and using your voice, right, and giving immediate feedback. But Mike, you have a different use case, don't you?
Yeah, mine was different. I got to be at Flipgrid Live and come hang out, which was awesome, and it was cool to get to see everyone there. And my original first connection with Flipgrid was everything we've been doing at Find Your Grind with the Disco Library and our really cool partnership there. And I have made a zillion flips of like go and it was about time management and self-reflection and like what you eat and just like habits and healthy choices and just like a lot of Find Your Grind content and the stuff that we're really passionate about. But when COVID hit, when this whole thing happened, what happened to us was the same thing that happened to schools, and it was like instantly our doors got closed and we weren't able to program. And programs to us is skateboarding, music, and art. Programming in your world is like Spanish and the library. It's different. And so for me, I was like, well, I know a tool where I can engage with kids differently. But the magic for us was like we were bringing skateboarding. We're bringing skateboarding to Flipgrid. We're bringing like how to do a kickflip, and kids get to make kickflip videos, and like kids are hippie jumping over their neighbors. Like we did a hippie jump challenge where it was basically you just get something that your skateboard rolls under and you jump over, and kids are like jumping over their neighbors and like jumping off of their sisters and just like off their parents' vans. Like crazy skateboarding is going down on Flipgrid, and it's cool because the magic moment for us, when you work with young people, as everyone on this call has, it's one thing in the classroom, but when it's like their passion, if a kid's really passionate about Spanish, that's one thing. Really passionate about the library, that's another thing. But like skateboarding is like you'll give your blood, sweat, and literal tears to it. And so to lose that place where kids get to keep checking tricks off their, we have like a skate school lanyard where it's like, the 20 tricks you have to graduate skate school or 40 tricks to graduate skate school. And so we're turning skate school virtual. So now you can land your tricks at home in your driveway and we can virtually check the trick off and still show that kids are progressing and learning, and we can still give kids that magic moment of like celebrating that they achieve something with their instructor's help. And so for us, we've been able to bring that magic of like seeing a kid miss a trick 100 times and they've been recording and deleting and then they finally land it, and like for the kid to freak out or the mom to freak out on the other end of the phone is like the best moment, because it's I don't know, there's a genuineness and an intimacy that Flipgrid brings, and I think that is what's so powerful about it. Is it is truly student voice in a way that it's so intimate. It's awesome, and for us, it's like, I just feel like we're bringing kickflips to Flipgrid, and we're bringing flip tricks has a whole new meaning right now. Flip tricks that's like our category.
We're flipping everything right now, right? So, okay, first of all, Mike, I would not underestimate the pedagogical power that you bring to that, right? Like you are actually building up skills and assessing them through this video tool. And that's actually really similar to exactly what Ashley and Rochelle were bringing up, right? Like there are these skills and characteristics and criteria that students are able to then demonstrate in this medium. I think the difference that you brought up, Mike, and this was actually something that was commented on Twitter, was one teacher mentioned that she really misses seeing the light bulb go off. And you actually, the way that you've designed those activities is a way to really see and then celebrate that light bulb go off, right? And so it's kind of an interesting challenge maybe for the rest of us in teaching and learning, especially in online teaching and learning. How can we recreate some sort of, whether it's a prompt or a lesson or some invitation where we actually get to share that magic light bulb moment, which is super unique, right? I think that's really cool. So I want to just sort of shift really briefly and talk a little bit about you all as power users. Ashley and Rochelle, I know you both actually have some badges, right? Like you have received some notifications, some awarded recognition of your power skills with Flipgrid. Talk us through that, and Ashley, tell us a little bit about sort of the levels of certification.
Yeah, so Flipgrid does have for educators, it's in your educator dashboard, and they have various levels of badges that you can receive. Some of them are automatic. So, for example, you get a badge when you set up your first grid. And then badges are awarded based on hours of recording time or number of videos, how many times you submit to the Disco library, which you mentioned earlier. The Disco library in Flipgrid is basically a gigantic area for topics and grids that are already pre-built, and you can search by grade level or subject matter. And so if you're not sure what you want to do, you can always look through that Disco topic and see that. But I have also earned the level 3 educator badge in Flipgrid, which is called the Grid Guide. Level 1, and there you basically submit your information. It tells you what you need to do, and it's pretty basic info. Submit X number of ideas to the disco board, create X number of grids, and have so many video replies. So it's pretty easy to do, and it's a lot of fun to earn because you learn a lot along the way. And I'm always looking for ways to become better at the tools that I use because I want, as a school librarian, to be able to help other educators and teachers in my building, and I want to be a resource that they can come to. So doing a lot of that learning a little bit on my own and then using those tools and earning those badges is a way that I can do that.
So you're a bona fide badge owner. Rochelle, tell us a little bit about your badges on Flipgrid.
Yeah,
We know
so
you're decorated, right?
what's that?
I said you are quite decorated in all the
Well,
spaces.
yeah, I do have some work to do on Flipgrid. I do have the level 1 and level 2, and I do need to work on level 3. And like Ashley was saying, what I really like about this community is how different ways to kind of build your skills. But I had no idea of how Disco Library worked, but in applying to become certified in level 1 or level 2, you have to explore them, learn about them, and it helps you to understand all that's available to you, but then you also have to create with it. And so go through the experience. Like it's one thing, you could say, okay, you guys as students, you all go and create your own videos and I'm not going to do it. Like I don't have to do it. But to be able to experience that and put your videos out there for other people to see, to add, videos to the disco library, but it is fun to get the notification that says like, all right, you're amplifying your student voice ambassador, or you've created 5,000 videos, or I don't even know. I think there's like 50,000 videos. So that's huge to make a ton of videos. But it just engages you as an educator and just keeps you learning too, because these tools are so great. Like they listen to the educator community and listen to the students to see what the needs are. And they're always adding new features in. And so the best way to keep educators kind of learning about those and applying them in the classrooms is to have us doing some activities to learn with it. And so I definitely need to work on my level 3 for sure. And I would love to be a rock star in the disco library at some point. But right now, I think I'm just a jukebox hero and a disc jockey. So that's okay.
I love it. In our Find Your Grind lifestyle framework, I hear a little bit of a competitor coming out in you. So, Mike, I think you have some thoughts on badges, huh?
It's about to come raging out of me because I don't have one stinking badge. What is this badge situation? First of all, 0 badges, Flipgrid. That's crap. Second of all, there's got to be like a misfit badge I get. Like he did it differently. He came in through the. I want my own badge. I didn't. I've been hearing all this badge jargon, and this whole time I've been sitting here fuming like I don't have one badge. I don't have one badge. I went and looked. I was on my phone like, do I have a badge? I have 0 badges. That's cool. I'm gonna call somebody at Flipgrid. We're gonna talk about badges.
You can start right now.
Yeah.
Right now, whenever we're done.
I'm just going straight to somebody. We're gonna figure this out. So congratulations on your badges, ladies. I'll see you soon at Backland. It's cool.
Also, another competitor. All right. Thank you, Mike. Oh my gosh. Well, that's actually a really good tie into. I mean, one reason that Mike is like the face and the heart of Find Your Grind in so many ways, right? And these videos get produced, but they're not authored by Mike, right? So we're gonna do something about that. But that's just a quick lead into a little bit of what we do have on Flipgrid. And this is not a paid endorsement. I want to be very clear. This is a community of educators talking about a tool that has been really useful for engaging students, their voice, engaging students in these unique sort of magic moments. And a lot of the content that we have on Flipgrid is within the Disco library. So you can actually go to that Disco library, you can find it there, you can select the prompts for your kids there. It's really great. You'll see a lot of Mike and prompts from Mike where he is really asking some provocative questions and really getting students to think about self-discovery, their strengths, their values, how they want to live and work, and how that kind of comes together. So we encourage you to go and check that out. I do want to just bring up one quick thought. We talked a lot about voice. We talked about articulation and public speaking, and we talked about the ability to actually show learning and the light bulb, right? But one interesting thing came up earlier today. I was on a call with some colleagues, and one of our colleagues actually had his video off, and the rest of us were on video, and he was commenting on all the nonverbal communication that he was watching, and we then called him out like, you don't even have your video on. What's going on? He said, I actually was doing this experiment because I've been reading a lot about nonverbal communication and all of the additional cues that you're sending with your facial expression and when your eyes light up and when you get excited about something, and how to really tell the nuance of these individuals as they are, sharing information. And what a valuable opportunity in a format like Flipgrid or other video types of tools to be able to shape young people and help give them feedback and give them feedback with each other. Because something that really strikes me about Gen Z, they are perhaps the most critical thinkers, the most critical evaluators of content in front of them, right? They are consuming digital content all day long. So they're really quick to evaluate and tell you if this is good or not, if somebody's rambling, going on too long, like me. But being able to use a tool like that to shape that in a really sort of critical thinking, effective communication space is something that I really love about the potential. So with that, I want to just wrap with something that we do, which is our lightning round. And so we're going to go around the horn here, and we're going to start with you, Ashley. Give me your favorite prompt to just be an icebreaker on Flipgrid. Now that you've done this a couple of times, like what is when someone's really uncomfortable with, holy cow, like now I'm going to be videotaped. What is your favorite sort of prompt or way to encourage them?
So I actually have a couple. If we're talking about prompts, two of my favorite prompts, just an icebreaker, get to know you, is if you lived on Sesame Street, who would be your neighbor and why? And if you were a famous football player, rock star, whatever, what would your walk-on song be? But to get them really acclimated and comfortable with it, there is the whiteboard feature that you can put up to write on, and it turns the whole screen white. And so I tell them, just put that up. We can hear your voice with that. And eventually they'll become comfortable and take that down as they see others. And they also have some fun filters. Like there's a Minecraft filter that pixelates you. So, allow students to use some of those features and just to get them acclimated to it, and monitor videos so that they don't post right away. So it's just that one conversation like we were talking about earlier, where only the student and teacher are having that conversation.
Those are so good. I love these tips. Thank you so much. Rochelle, what is your favorite sort of prompt or tip to get folks a little bit more comfortable in the public speaking, whether it's on Flipgrid or some sort of like video recording?
Yeah, I didn't always like to do this, but now just doing a video of my own. Before I would just have like an image or something, but now I'll record a video, I'll use all the features and ask questions. I mean, it could be a would you rather, because I've seen those done a lot. At the beginning of the year, it's, tell me some things that, like, what are you doing now? Especially now, like checking in, what are some things that you've been doing in your free time? Or do you have any new interests? What are some things I might be surprised to know about you? Or even doing some like 3 truths and a lie or some variation of it. Those are fun things to do sometimes as well. And then to make connections with the kids, like, hey, did you know you and I like the same music? Which they're always surprised at things like, really, a teacher likes something that I like? Wow. But to build those relationships, I mean, sometimes that's the way to do it.
That is so cool. I think it's really cool to hear these in this format, because you get them a lot of times in a public setting, in a traditional classroom, and you feel like, oh no, that person took my answer. Oh no, that person took my answer. But this is so much more one-to-one and so much more intimate in that way. It's really cool. Mike, I know you're no stranger to the microphone, but some people are. How do you help people kind of overcome their perhaps their fear of public speaking or feeling uncomfortable on the camera?
I always lean towards, if it's fun and silly, the ice is going to be broken pretty early. If it's really serious and intense early, you kind of lose it. And so I always try to keep it fun and keep it silly and keep it really enjoyable. Flipgrid's kids like Flipgrid because the tools inside of it feel like Snapchat. It feels like, what they're used to using. Like, it feels like what they want to create on. And so I keep it fun. But for us, my favorite video we've ever made was Kayleen, our like resident DJ person at Find Your Grind, and she works with the marketing department. She did one on playlist curation, and it was all about like, what's your favorite playlist? And that one was really fun for like people to like do a whole playlist curation one. And so I think anytime it's music or skateboarding or art and it's about that, like, I'm always going to be hyped.
That's awesome. I'll play along. As I mentioned, I used to be an ESL teacher way back in the day, and now I have kids. And the one thing in common with both of those populations, they love to make fun of other people in jest, right? So one really good way to kind of like get out of your skin is just perform someone else, right? Do the voice and just like get into that mode and be an actor, and you start to sort of embody, wow, there are all these other things I can do with my voice, with my body, with my feeling more comfortable in front of the screen. So I like to do that one. And I think these are all really good strategies for getting people to engage. This has been super fun. Thank you all so much for joining. Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Ashley Cooksey2. Instagram is ashley.cooksey2. And I'm also on Facebook and some educator groups there as well.
Awesome. Rochelle?
Yeah, on Twitter and Instagram, rdene915.
Mike, where can we find you and Find Your Grind?
At Find Your Grind on everything, and mine is just, if you Google Mike Smith, you will find Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. That's my alter ego. That's what I do as a moonlighting job. It's cool. We'll get into that next week. You're fine.
Awesome. Yeah, so at Find Your Grind everywhere. And this has been super fun. I hope you all have learned some new skills as we've been talking about this. And let's go check out Flipgrid and learn some new things. Let's flip it all.
You're flipping awesome, Lo.
Awesome.